All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Going Rogue podcast. But before we get into that episode, I have some people to mention. One of which being that the Woodridge Celtic Festival is live on heavyathlete.com right now. So if you go look up Woodridge Farm Celtic Festival or just go under the calendar function, you can set that up however you'd like. Go check it out, sign up. Heavy Athlete has just released some improvements for both lightweight tracking and then for premium users, a prediction feature, which I think is absolutely awesome. So definitely check them out. Make an account if you haven't so far. Claim your scores and get rolling on heavyathlete.com. We've also got the Strength Agenda. They are sponsoring some of our pro athletes for the Woodridge Farm Games. So the Strength Agenda actually offers a Highland Game specific ebook that you can download that's got event specific training, strength development, explosive power, technical precision, and then recovery and mobility modalities built in there as well. So if you're kind of looking for a one stop shop on how to elevate your training for the Highland Games, reach out to Tom Sroka over there with the Strength Agenda. They also have remote coaching and other training programs available, so be sure to check them out. Scottish Throws Coach, speaking of great coaching, is run by Matt McDougall, one of our frequent co hosts on the podcast. You can check him out at ScottishThrowsCoach.com. McDougall is doing remote coaching specifically for the Scottish Highland Games. So if you're looking for a way to get technique breakdowns and ways to structure your training as well, go check that out. The Savage Life Company. So Savage Life does a little bit of everything. They have personal coaching, they have accessories, they have flags, they have apparel, anything you could be in the market for. And I've got to say, their shirts look absolutely awesome. I think they just put some on the website that are designs they released specifically up at the Arnold booth. They are going to be sponsoring some of our athletes as well and having a booth at the Woodridge Games. So go check them out, savagelife.co. We've also got Stars and Thistles. I'm sure you've seen them making the rounds with their really fun hashtag #BeTacky. But I'm going to read to you guys off of their website because I think they said it better than anyone could. They said their story began with a devoted father who cherished the traditions of the Scottish Highland Games and instilled with them the community and friendship that we've all come to know and love. So he's passed down that tacky making ability and recipe to them. And you've got multiple generations going into each batch of tacky, which I think is absolutely awesome. They say in a world that can sometimes feel serious, we encourage laughter and connection. Invite you to embrace this tradition with us and join in the joy of being tacky. So they just wrapped up their Highland Dames Clinic, which I think went over really, really well. You can go check them out at starsandthistles.com. You can get tacky, stickers, apparel, hoodies, t-shirts, you name it, they've got it. They've got some absolutely awesome stuff. So please go check them out. For all the updates on the Woodridge Farm Games and the people that are helping sponsor our pro class and the other levels of our competition as well, you can check all that out at our website, goingrogue.com. All right, and last but not least, we do have Kilted Patriot. So Kilted Patriot was founded in memory of Joel Sim. They are working to support the community of the heavy athletics that Joel really helped build and love. You can read more about them on their website, kiltedpatriot.com, under their About Us tab. They are sponsoring the athletic experience as well as individual athletes. That's what they're helping us out with at the Woodridge Games. Their goal is to encourage participation and keep growing the sport. And they tend to really focus on the athletic portion, which if you've ever heard us talk about that here at Going Rogue, that is really what we're big on, is the athlete experience. So we're very excited to be working with them. They contribute for food, swag, awards, things like that. They will have a special award at the Woodridge Games, and hopefully some swag baskets to go along as well for either winners or podiums of certain classes once we get that workout. So they're also working very hard to explore and encourage the adaptive side of the Scottish Highland Games. So if you're an athlete or you know someone who would be a good fit for that, please reach out to them. They are trying to get more adaptive classes at as many games as possible. The games themselves don't have to be adapted. It is just, an implement thing. So they are really pushing to ADs to try and get that much more widely available. So go check them out at kiltedpatriot.com. Glad I caught just that second. Is this recording so nair and porn? What's the usage like? Is that camera in a good spot?
It's fine with me.
You know what?
You always look like 4 inches taller than me when we do these.
Yeah. I'm only 4 inches longer than you. No. We both do fine.
Pretty proportional.
Yeah. We're both 6'4", and there's a reason.
Yeah.
Well, that's not right.
That's Jeremy. Hey, there it is.
That's better.
Yeah. It's good. God, you're so big.
It's gonna get bigger. All right, be a good girl for me and let me do our intro.
I'm the problem.
That's staying in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately we are both the problem.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about. I don't want to call it Fallout because that seems rude.
What was the title that we should have?
So we had a suggestion from a third party
Yeah.
that I forgot, but what I'm actually going to do is call this the airing of grievances, and it's going to be a screenshot from that Festivus episode of Seinfeld where he's just saying, "I've got a lot of problems with you people, and you're going to hear about them." But I'll talk briefly before we get into those things of stuff that we're going to do. So we're recording this the Tuesday before the Central Carolina games.
Yep.
So I'll be recording that game as much as possible. I'll be trying to put together a highlight reel for it that like is a bit more palatable for people who aren't in the Highland games, who maybe don't want to sit and watch a 50-minute long video of lightweight and a 50-minute long, So that should be good.
I'm saying people don't want to watch 12 guys not turn a caber?
Correct. And that's what's going to happen.
Damn.
Sorry, kittens. Daddies are tired.
Sorry.
Just is what it is. So, what we're going to do instead is, like I said, I'll still put out the full unedited one. That way if someone wants to watch everyone that's there, because like it's 11 out of 12 of us are really competitive. No. But
And then you have John Harding.
yeah, that piece. No. He's darker than that.
Sure, I've never beat him, but
Yeah. So yeah, that's the goal. So that people that want to watch the full unedited stuff can, and then those who don't have to. They can go watch that. I'm also going to try and do little one-turns with a thing that Beach used to do, and I will shamelessly steal this idea. He used to go on and like every week he'd recap whatever scores got put in for that week.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Or month or whatever, just whenever you can.
Didn't we do that?
We have very briefly without any level of consistency.
Yeah.
And now that I think people are used to hearing just me talk from time to time,
Yeah.
I'll just do it when I can because I have free time.
Didn't we stop because it was depressing?
Probably. It gets really sad to say the winning heavyweight was a 22-foot throw. Like, it gets sad, but at the same time,
Sport's dying. What are you going to do?
I'm going to talk about whatever. Look, I'm going to keep putting the numbers out there so that people can drill it through their heads. And so that's what we're getting to. This is a perfect segue. We're going to talk about the fact that some people are refusing to acknowledge this. I posted a thing literally like an hour ago about people that have the right attitude because SAAA shared 9 points post talking about like, hey, let's all elevate the games and make it better. And that's the correct attitude because they're all willing to do something different to try and move it in the right direction.
Right.
And I will save what I think the solution is from doing that whole series till the end of this. I will make public my thoughts, but your thoughts are spicier.
Yeah.
And they're going to be more fun.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try to come at this from a point of temperance. There's been a lot of opinions lately about the games, and that's really great. And there've been people that have joined on our podcast and other people's podcasts, Jacob Langworthy's podcast.
Jablangworthy?
Jablangworthy. And is that something we call him?
No, but it's going to be now.
It's Jablang.
I think it's it's the sound the sheaf bag makes
Jablang.
when it leaves your fork. Jablang.
I like it.
Yeah,
But
that's your name, buddy.
right.
I think he stays listening to these pretty consistently. So.
Who doesn't? But
We have tens of listeners, sir.
yeah.
Which is a significant portion of our sport because it's dying. Go on.
Yeah. So I wanted to address a couple of things that I had heard and kind of give, my my rebuttal.
No, go on.
That's nice. That's good. But
That's all I
what
have.
is it? Yeah. You hear that popping sound? I hope that
That's the tendons.
that's what it takes to throw a 50-foot heavyweight. Tendonitis. I scream in the night.
All my my stripes are back on my thumb from
Yeah.
my consistent weight practices now that I'm actually throwing lightweight,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I know what I'm doing,
Mm.
it hurts both times, not just on heavyweight.
I managed to just rip a nail completely off, so it's it's all skin now.
We're gonna
Can't
fix
scratch
that.
you. Yeah,
Oh,
but
thank God. Hemorrhoids are starting to get mad.
yeah, but yeah. So some of the things that I've seen are basically, in summation, it seems that there are a lot of guys at the top and a lot of ADs that feel that we've lost the way and lost our path and lost the point. We need to get back into supporting the bigger class, not because pros are special and deserve more, but because we have to market something. And in order to have a marketable product that we can attract sponsors to, we have to have marketable people. And as long as we are not putting attention on our most marketable people, we're going to have some problems with attracting sponsors. And like, that's kind of what it boils down to, right? Is if I don't have TV worthy people, I can't really put it on TV. If I'm not putting the best out there, I can't put the best out there. Even when you were going around talking to like event festivals, venues that had never had a festival, that were vaguely aware of it, they said they would ask the question, well, how much would it be to have the best guys? How much would it be, right? Like I remember that.
And the base level
up.
number I came up with was at least $12,000 towards the athletics.
For
like-
men's and women together?
For a full pro class of 7 to 8 athletes.
Yeah, agreed.
And whether you want to split that men's, women's, whatever, farm it out to sponsors.
I think that's a completely fair number.
Yeah.
If not being...
Because it was about $2,000 towards staffing and then the rest toward travel and prize money. And that was for a first year. That was not for longevity's sake. That was, I think I can get... Yeah, that was, I think I can get 2 of the top 5 guys here and then a good showing from the remainder in order to give you a really good show.
Right.
And maybe more if scheduling works out, you know?
Right.
But that's not they're going to build this into their calendar every single year. Like,
and so you have the group of ADs that are saying, hey, there's a problem in the sport. We're not getting attendance. We're not getting attraction. We have to fix it. And there are different ways to fix that. And I'm all ears on anything that can get more people in the sport. Graham Hawthorne and I have been going to college track meets and going and throwing and making a fool out of ourselves, but still beating D3 kids and saying, hey, look, there's a sport where we get to throw 9 events back to back, drink a beer, hang out, and there's opportunities to travel internationally with it. And there is still a high level, there's still a high level and something to reach for, because every one of those kids asked, like, what's the end goal? What's the point? And I said, well, more or less, you still have a Team America, you have Team USA, you get to represent your country, you do get, you get to choose to throw the flag on your back and go overseas and represent, or go to Canada and represent, or go to South America and represent, or go to any of Europe. I don't know why you'd want to go to any of Europe right now, but like to any of Europe and represent. And there is an outlet. Now then, on the other side of that, there are ADs, competitors, professionals, people that have been in the sport for 20 plus years that don't think the sport's in trouble. But the Scots think the sport's in trouble in Scotland. And we are certainly not meeting any metric that we would need to beat to be anything other than dying. And if you're going to be in denial of that, then I don't actually think it's relevant any of the things you have to say, because you're not looking at the same sport that I am, right? We have 3 guys, maybe 4. Is Nick Aston under 30 still? I think he's 30 or 31, right?
yeah, I don't think he's too much younger than me. He might have just turned 30.
I think he's got to be 30 flat if he's 30. But we have 3 pros in the sport under 30. And our best guys are 37 and older. And, with Van Buren stepping away. And, that's kind of scary for me. It's incredibly scary because, again, of the guys
Here
under
he comes,
30...
28, oldest man in the sport.
Right.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. So, but I mean, again, you have 3 guys under 30, and those 3 guys are guys that either live next to me or I threw against in high school because we stuck together and decided to. But where's the pull and where are they now? Like, Graham is up and coming, and is probably going to be a top 10 American this year. I put money on it. And Patty's chronically injured and had a season where he deserved to be pro and then gets kind of pity invites or good old boy system. And that's, but for real, and that's one of my best friends, you know, and we've had this conversation before, and I don't blame him for saying yes to invites. You know, it's $500 or $400.
I'm not paying him anything,
No,
but
yeah.
I'm going to give him lots of hugs.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
if anyone's ever like, Jeremy's preached numbers, but he still invited Jordan Patty, I pay that man in forehead kisses.
right. Like, exactly. The total price versus accurate.
Yeah.
Individuals get what individuals get. Yeah, it's a deal that they get to work out on their own. But
Yeah, that system's going really well.
Yeah.
I have like 15 pros.
and it's something to bring up as a good discussion. But
We'll get to that at the end. We'll get through.
if you're not willing to acknowledge that the sport's dying, I don't know that I can have a reasonable conversation with you, because that's just a prerequisite to the rest of the conversation. Has anyone said how the sport is meeting its metrics?
Yeah. No one has sent me... a couple people have vaguely said, well, our local festival is doing great and growing, and that's great. But I don't know that it's a good metric of the sport overall, because that's what we're talking about.
And a couple of times they've said that, and then we fact-checked it by looking at the game's attendance, and they were lying.
And it's coming down. Yes.
And they were drastically coming down. They were lying.
Yeah. So that is a hard thing to overcome. The 2 points I was going to make before we move on is, when you say a marketable product, we had a lot of people get really upset. And I cleared it up with some of them following like the first clip I posted from Jalangworthy's.
Jalangworthy, right?
Yeah. Jablangworthy. There was a B in there. Blue Monster. Talking about focusing less on like the master's class and stuff.
Right.
And the metaphor I have settled on is, if you walk into any bar and look at a TV, you see World's Strongest Man. You don't see World's Strongest Master. You don't see World's Strongest Lightweight, even though it's a thing. And even though, like, all right, for the other less premier classes, the sport's getting better for them. Nancy's class has probably had more prize money on the line than they ever have before.
Yeah, first place at their world championships got $3,000.
And that's great. That only exists because the rest of it got so popular.
Professional.
You know? Like, that wouldn't exist if the top end wasn't what was being promoted.
No, that's literally like trickled down economics, and that is individual buy-in from athletes.
Yeah, so
if we charge $250 a fucking ticket and charge $100 for spectators, then we can do that too. But
we just don't. We charge $50.
We charge $50, if that.
Yes.
You know,
so
some games get by on $15.
Yeah,
poorly.
Yes. So that's my counter argument to that, is you can't show me any other sport. Football, you see the NFL on when you walk in the bar. Baseball, you see MLB. Like, most of the time. Your local flag football team or the Richmond Raiders or any of those teams are not what's on every sports bar TV. It's the top end. It doesn't mean the other things don't exist. It doesn't mean that masters and lightweights and all these other classes don't have opportunities to compete.
It doesn't mean they're not good either.
Exactly.
Rec league basketball, though, is rec league basketball. They don't play. They play at the YMCA.
Yeah.
They don't play.
And it's sponsored by a local air conditioning company, not by ESPN.
Right.
That's just how that works.
Yeah. And that's fine, and that's good.
And it's still, everyone will still have a chance. And this, at the end of the episode, when I go over what I think the potential solution is, I'll cover that. But you still have opportunities, but the marketable product is the top end. In any successful sport, regardless of whether it's something like we usually use strongman because it most closely parallels us.
Yeah.
But any sport, the top end is what gets promoted. Everything else still exists, and it exists just because it's fun. That's fine. But that's not the product. That's not the thing that you need to push to people. It's not the thing you focus on.
And it is different. It's a different sport. I can tell you, as someone that climbed the ranks of powerlifting or strongman specifically is the best example. Like, the professional level is different than the amateur level. It just is. The stakes are different. The pay is different. The structure of the events are different. Where it's run, how it's run, the rules, how you conduct yourself. It's different. It's a different sport. And you graduate into that sport. You get drafted into it. And part of it's success, and part of it is accolades and other things. But it's mostly success.
Yep. And to the point of the people that, like, when we say the master's class isn't as entertaining and they get upset and they go, well, Mark Felix, cool. He's a fraction of a percent of that sport. So is Zadrunas when he got over 40 and all that. But guess what? They showed up and did the same weights that Halfthor did. They did the same events.
Yeah, they were impressive because they were competing with them
Yes,
and doing good
not
numbers.
because watching Mark Felix beat the shit out of a bunch of random 50-year-olds who qualified for strongman nationals is
Means
not
nothing.
nearly as
Right.
entertaining, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, who cares? Going and watching him
When it
deadlift 700 pounds for 8 reps
is great.
is
Watching him
awesome.
beat everyone on a grip event is
Awesome.
great. You can't, but it doesn't translate. You either are competing at the top end and you get to share in the spotlight, or you don't. And
Right.
people need to check their sense of self-importance when it comes to that, because they feel like they have earned a fraction of the spotlight for being around the sport for X number of years or being the best in XYZ subcategory when it's just not the marketable product. And people are going to get upset when I say that. And if this turns into one of the little clips that, by the way, AI picks, I don't do it, I just let the system pick it. That's not the point. The point isn't to upset you or make you mad. You can still go be the best master lightweight junior, whatever you want to be. That's fine. It just means you don't go on the poster.
Well, understand that, and
That's it.
there's a
Like,
difference. And I get pissed off because why would you think you deserve that? Like, why do you think you deserve that?
why do you think your 30-foot, 42-pound throw is as impressive as a 40-foot, 56-pound throw? I can't wrap my head around that. I don't understand it.
Here's,
No.
I mean, to go in the actual argument direction here, right? Let's have a conversation of what AB logic means, right?
AB class or
No,
point
no,
A
no,
to
no.
point B?
Point A to point B,
Okay.
right? Like, I think we're all familiar with AB logic. We can track things logically as they would expand, right? I think that's where most good sci-fi happens, following something to its logical conclusion, right? So let's talk about AB logic and how it applies to the sport, right? Here's where people get fucked up when they can't follow AB logic. When you have a pro that says, I don't like the open system because it means that I can't go and do open games because I don't think I'm going to break even, and pros are only doing it to break even. We'll get on that in a second. And I'm not going to do it because a pro that is better than me signed up, and there's just not enough money to go around. And so it's excluding, pros like me, and then saying, I go home and I compete in 2 open games and I go make money in a weekend and it serves me and therefore it's good and it's fun and it's applicable. And when you make the argument for both, you're not following direct logic. The thing you're saying is it's only good if it serves me, which is to go into the point that I have against the pro class is your argument coming because it is self-serving or because it is serving the whole of the community? And then let's talk about what that means and break it down a little bit further, right?
Mm-hmm.
What helps the sport should be the thing that helps me. But if it's not, I personally am still going to do the thing that helps the sport.
That's why I'm doing it. I'm not a pro. I can't throw a 75-foot lightweight,
Right.
but I still want to go do whatever the thing is that is better for the sport. I'm hosting a championship in my region that I would hypothetically qualify for that I've removed myself from because it's not about me.
Because it's not about you. When I'm trying to pull people in the sport, it's not so that I have more people to be better than. It's because I recognize that our sport can be so much more than it is. I want more. I hope that I can prove myself in the larger talent pool, but I want the larger talent pool because right now proving myself means nothing because there aren't enough of us. Like,
Yeah.
the guys that are so good in the sport aren't special.
So I remember a post that, did you pronounce her name Lifa or Lifa Ingalls, the pro strong woman who coaches
yeah.
Hannah or
Yeah,
coached Hannah for the longest time. She made a post forever ago when Hannah was first coming up.
Yeah.
She was like, people always ask me, but isn't she going to be better than you? And she's like, that's the point.
That's the point.
That's the whole point.
I said this to you earlier.
That is stuck in my head from probably like 6+ years ago that post got made.
Right. Like my goal in the sport, like full disclosure, like I'm not secretive with any of my goals. Like, there are 3 world records I want to take.
I was going to say a really off-color joke,
Yeah.
but go on.
Yeah. There are 3 world records I want to take. I hope to have them for a couple of years, and then I hope that our sport has quadrupled, quintupled, whatever, septupled, anyway.
Some metric.
Expanded tenfold, and I hope that we see 50-foot heavyweights every other weekend. I mean, genuinely, I hope that that's...
Which is the way every growing sport works.
Right.
Once the 1,000-pound deadlift barrier got broken, a year and a half later, it was at every high-level show between 3 or 4 guys.
Right. Andy Bolton took it and took 1,000 pounds, and then it was
Mm-hmm.
just we were spoiled for like a decade because everyone could pull 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And it was the battle of 111, or 10-11, 10-15.
And now you go to a
10-14.
show where the top pull is 870.
Right.
And we've all become jaded and we've gone, oh, that's fine. 870 pounds is so much weight.
It's more than I've ever pulled.
It's so much.
Right. It's tremendous. The fact that we have guys that are pulling 880 for, what's the record on 880s now? 6 or 7? Was it Rhino or Rano?
I'm bad at foreign names.
Or the Georgian, or God, who was it? It doesn't matter. But incredible. Those were unheard of numbers. And, I hope that we get there. Genuinely. I hope that I hope my name is forgotten, because that means that I did it right, and really...
And then you can go be, what I said today in one of our group texts, a Jerry or a Bill Crawford or
go be a mentor.
Someone that should be the goal if you stay in this sport past your athletic prime.
Right.
If you're going to continue to participate, I'm fine with that. That's great. Go do it. It should be done not with the goal of saying why you matter. It should be done with the goal of pushing the new people to go do their thing. I mean, Chad Clark, who is taking some time away from the sport, has done more
to come back and compete.
Yeah, but he's done more for the sport than anyone I can think of.
Right.
I mean, that's
in our area at least.
In the region, yes. It's
on the East Coast.
The man has earned a break.
Right.
Right. That's what you should do. Hey, I went and and none of the people that I think of as being really good, like him and Jerry.
Yeah.
This is not to be rude. I've looked at what their best numbers are. Mm-hmm. They're good, but they're not amazing.
Chad won Green Hill.
Yeah. When? What year? That.
His name's on the trophy with mine. But
that's my point. It's
John Wesson Thorne.
Yeah, but
Ryan McDougall.
It's guys that were never the world champion.
Mm-hmm.
They came, they did their best effort,
right,
and they have stayed touching the sport, and then just tried to make the sport better than how they found it. And I think that should be your goal. If you go if you go over the bell curve, if you realize that you reach that peak and you're now on that backslide, that's what you should go do. Or you can leave, and that's also fine.
And so let's talk about the advice that we're getting, and let's talk about the bell curve for a second, right? One of the things that pissed me off so much when I was going into this sport and trying to pursue it at a higher level was people telling me not to try to throw like Spencer Tyler, not to try to pursue these higher levels, not to try to do these things. And these were guys that had been in the sport for 20 years. And I got that both from a professional who has now pissed me off with his comments because I think they're inappropriate and wrong, and a now AD who pissed me off with his comments, and I'm going to have to revoke my invite for a game because I am voting with my attendance.
Have you sent that email yet?
No, I need to show you. No,
okay.
It's going out.
You want me to read it while you talk?
No.
Not out loud. I meant to myself just while you're...
No, we're going to wait, but that's a whole conversation. That's a whole other podcast. No.
We're going to leave it running.
Yeah. But some of the advice I was given was like, if you want longevity in this sport, you can't be pushing like this or doing these things, and I don't.
Or the comment that, and Dave Marble left this publicly, so I'll address it.
Right.
He said, we can't grow by ignoring growth opportunities, and referring to the Masters class.
My immediate response was we grow by picking the correct growth
opportunities. Because Masters either find the sport over 40, and then the number of those that do that and are stellar athletes is again a fraction of a percentage. And that's not taking away from it, it's just... If you think you were as snappy as you could have ever been at 41 instead of at 28, I don't understand your physiology. You are either a freak, or you're just looking at yourself through rose-colored glasses, or you're a master because you used to be an amateur. There's no marketable growth there. The vast majority of them started as AMs and just aged into masters. You didn't actually add numbers to the game. You already... were in the game. That's not growth. That is status quo at best.
Yeah. And to talk about Masters and go back to, again,
I can't enforce this enough. I'm not saying not to have Masters classes, and I'm not saying they're not entertaining and that I won't offer them at literally every game I run.
I think we need more Masters classes. I think we need more of all the classes. That's my pick. We need more
Again,
games,
spoiler
not less.
alert, that's going to be my solution to a
Right.
lot of this at the end. But
yeah, so
bear with us.
So back to the number thing though, is like when someone says, and this has come up from multiple people recently, like when someone says, I've been in the sport for 20 plus years.
Yes, and I can't enforce enough that this is multiple people, so when you think I'm talking specifically about you, you're wrong.
I am, though.
Yeah, he is.
And so when you say I've been in the sport for 20 years, look at the camera. When you say I've been in the sport for 20 plus years, but you can't show a record, you can't show the game that, like, you're currently running that wasn't pre-existing. You show, you taking over your responsibility, but not creating more. Like, you're not doing enough. And we are called to do more because you can do more. But saying that I've been doing something for 20 years without being able to say, and these are the things that I did, and this is why my opinion matters. Attrition matters if you're good. Attrition doesn't matter if you're bad. It doesn't. And to promote attrition over success, I think is the reason our sport's dying.
Yeah.
Is because I've been told at a bunch of games by a bunch of pros, like, don't try this hard. Why are you throwing this hard? It's October. Because my fucking scores count for the next ranking season. Like, as a pro, my scores in October count for Celtic, and I'm trying to go to the national championships. Like, I'm trying to go to Worlds. I care. Why don't you care? Why do you think it's okay to complain about the sport shrinking and lack of opportunity while telling pros or amateurs not to try? What do you have to lose from it? I have a theory that there's a cult of pros that don't want the sport to grow, and they know it's dying.
That was the title, A Cult of Pros.
Cult of Pros. Because they want to go out captain of a sinking ship.
Yeah, they don't care if it lasts past their generation. They want to get paid to do a hobby.
They want to,
and then
they want to
when
break
they leave,
even
they
on
don't
their hobby.
they don't care the shape that they have left it in.
Right. And they're saying that they care about the shape they left it in because it's the shape it was left to them in, but it's not in good shape now. And if you acknowledge that we're in peril and choose not to do anything about it, you're the problem. You are the gangrenous.
What I brought up earlier today, at what point does the incompetence or the passiveness become malice?
Right.
I think amateurs can afford to be passive. I don't want you to be. I want you to want to try, but you are an amateur. You pay to participate. If you want to just
You're not being paid.
Hang out.
You don't represent the sport as a whole.
But if we are going to have a professional class, then you get paid to do this thing. I don't understand how you were not then invested.
And I think
unless it's because you're only making money at games where you're only getting invites based on feel goods and not actually being a professional.
Right. Off of good old boy charm. And so when someone comes in and challenges the status quo of like, but I'm good, why am I not getting invited? And then the response is, well, you just didn't buddy up to this person. Fuck you. Fuck you. I don't want to buddy up to get an invite. I want to be invited because I'm world lead in events. I want to be invited because I have field presence. I want to be invited because I'm challenging world records. I want to be invited because I cheer for the guys on the field with me and they belong on the field with me because we're all at a caliber that differentiates itself naturally from other competitors. Like, and to sit there and say, I deserve money, but I'm not going to put my all into something, like, that's evil, man. Like, that's fucked up. And I think that you only really have two solutions that make sense to me that I've seen presented. And they are as follows when it comes as pertaining to the pro class, right? You either say, here's the standard for what it means to be professional. We're kicking out anyone that doesn't meet the standard.
Which the West Coast used to have standards.
We're upholding it. We're inviting only the best, and that's it. And we just have pro games that are invite only, and there's no open, and there's a way to earn your way up to it, and you're being paid accordingly. And it's a separate, distinct thing. And we're treated like professionals because we are. Or you say the pro class isn't real, and you have the open format, and you just show up and throw, and everyone knows who the elite guys are, but you don't pretend that it's professional, and you keep it an amateur sport, and you get us into the AAU, and you have us recognized as a sport, and we have a governing body.
Yeah, which, spoiler alert, with throwing rocks and throwing trees will never happen because it's not standardized. I don't know how you would,
First, you need a website that has the majority of the games on it that's representing them as a unified governing body and a place to find it. Then you would need to show your inclusiveness for that. I've looked into this, right? Then you need to show your inclusiveness.
This is all tying into
then
my
you need to
proposed solution.
Switch over to not having rocks and throwing shot puts and having standardized weights and having it look the same and be the same, just like any other sport, because you can't have horrible variation in things. And then you could actually make a pitch and try to get us involved, which follows up. In my mind, that's kind of the pitch of either way. In my mind, you would do a fusion of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you would say, these are our elite games. We invite to elite games professionals. Professionals are the guys that make the biggest show at the smaller open games. And we have a ranking system, and we pick based off of the best people around, and those people get invited out to serve in whatever game and community. We record them, we try to sell them, we market them. At big festivals, we have pros, and at medium festivals, we have opens, and at small festivals, we have seminars and demos and clinics, and we do the Ren Fair recruiting tactics.
I'm very excited. All right, so I'll say my proposed solution, because it's literally most of what you just said.
Yeah.
So after talking with you, and then Lily, and then Jablangworthy, here was my proposed solution, is essentially tiers of games.
Yeah.
So you have more backyard and what right now would not be considered full games.
That'd be
right?
awesome.
Flood the market with them.
Yeah.
That's your tier 3, your bottom level game, right? And that is your opportunity for literally everyone to compete, right? Masters, lightweights, women's, men's, juniors, whatever subclasses you want to have, whatever delegation of flights and whatever, do it.
Sure, yeah.
Caveat. Here was the other thing that I proposed that would mostly influence this and the level 2 games, where I said, I don't know if you called it, what if we had a certification? So not a governing body. I know it's similar, and I found a different way. So let's say you as an AD wanted to host a backyard game. You would come to, this is basically the mafia solution, right? You go to a recognized AD. I'll use me as an example. Please do not actually do this. It is just because I won't offend myself by talking about it. And say, hey man, here are photos of all of my weights on scales and next to rulers. Here are the measurements for the trigs I'll be using, the boxes I'll be painting, the cabers I'll be using, and, we're using all DeWalt pull tapes and, yada yada. And I'll go, cool, send me your scores when you're done, I'll put them in. You're now a going rogue satellite game. That way no one questions it. Because Danny runs a couple of games like that. He ADs for a game in another state that he may not even be at, but he sends someone out there that he trusts. So why not have a bunch of those games say, hey, recognized AD, I want to host a backyard game. Can I fly under your banner of game? Work that out with that AD. They AD your game remotely for $50 or whatever is worth their time to put in your scores and look over your info. Right?
Yep.
Some level of certifying that those are legitimate.
Yep.
That way there is a dual verification of someone on the field said it, and hey, here's the documentation that got sent.
Sure.
Right? In whatever way you wanted to work that out, I think that's a good early thought of a system to do it in. Right? And that's all your bottom tier games. And if you don't do that, then just know that people are going to ignore your scores. Whatever. If you don't care about them, you don't care about them. That's your business, right? Your second tier games are what most of us are used to seeing right now. The ones either attached to a Celtic festival or some goings on at a brewery or community thing or whatever. Things that actually sell tickets but maybe aren't the Celtic
500
Classic.
to 1,000 people.
Like your average attendance, normal games that you're used to seeing. Cool. And you can run those in whatever format you want. The open format, the invite format, whatever. But just recognize that you are a tier above backyard games. Hold yourself to a good standard. Have your judges look professional. Try to just hold yourself accountable. Then have your top games. That's your Celtic Classic. That's your, inevitable goal of the heavy athlete game with the high payout. These are the ones that promote only pros. Don't even have an AM class. Don't offer them. I don't want to see them at tier 3 games. Because these are the games that our sport uses to market to anyone and everyone, and what should be put on a pedestal and used as the example. Those are we have $12,000 on the line, and it goes all towards paying 5 people.
Right.
Those are the ones that's your equivalent to the Arnold Classic, the Shaw Classic, and World's Strongest Man, right? Like if you're a super heavyweight strongman, those are the 3 shows you're trying to go to make your money for the year. Those are the 3 shows that you, John Harding, and Kyle Lilly are going to try and make to qualify.
Right.
Because in theory, you could, let's say, make $40,000 on the sport in a year if you go to those 3 to 6 games and made money.
Yep.
I think that's what the sport should eventually try to get to.
Yeah, 3 or 4 big games that are pros only.
That are and I truly pros only, and it gets put out for people to watch. It gets edited correctly. Some of them may even only be 5-event games. They may be what Jeb Langworthy was talking about, because it's an easy marketable product. And if you can do enough of those, and if there's money that you can make it happen, that's the goal. I think the tier 3 games don't happen for a few years. I think you keep promoting high-level tier 2 games.
Right.
I think that's how you build up the relationships with sponsors and things like that in order to have those tier 3 games. But I think that's the solution, is a huge saturation of tier 1 games. Or tier 3, sorry. They're your bottom level.
Right.
A good showing, 3 to 4 in every state at a minimum of your tier 2 games. And then half a dozen top level games. Pros only. This is a 6-hour top event, something that you can sell thousands of tickets to, because it's easy to follow, it's easy to digest, and everything on the field looks good.
Yeah, we have a scoreboard, for example.
That's the dream. That's what I think we should be working towards.
Yeah.
Is something like that. Because that follows the model of everything else, right? You'd have your NFL, you'd have your local leagues of, I don't know what, in baseball would be the AA games, your Richmond Flying Squirrels.
Semi-pro.
Yeah. And then you'd have your church league games. I think that should be the goal, is something inside of that. So again, I put that toward the end of all those ramblings to say, we actually do want more opportunities for masters and lightweights and all of this. Because that is the only way that most of the time, before we start having those tier 1 games, that's the only way you do find good athletes, is they need to have an approachable way to enter the sport.
I want more opportunities for everyone, and there are 2 ways to pay for it. We either need an elite class that we can market and we get exterior money, or we start charging $150 a game, like what Strongman's doing. I was a Strongman promoter. I had to charge like $120 at the end there, because that was the only way to do it. If you actually want the truck pull, the insurance, the nice stuff that when you tear a bicep you're taken care of, if you want the sponsorships and the salt packets and the shirts and the slate trophies and all that shit, and if I have 30 volunteers that I'm feeding, because of course I'm going to feed my volunteers, because they're not slaves and I want them to come back, and I'm going to give them shirts, and it costs money, and so that either needs to come from the athletes, or you need to let us do our job and promote the sport at a high level without thinking we're robbing you. Because we're not. We're not trying to... What's the fucking Lord of the Rings line?
I'm not trying to rob you.
Yeah, I'm not trying to rob you. I'm trying to help you. Right? I'm not trying to take away opportunities from the masters. I'm trying to give them the opportunities they deserve, and more of them. I don't think that's, elite festivals.
Yeah.
If you're over 40, you can throw...
Masters World Championship. Where did they host it this year? Answer me. You can't. Right? They had hundreds of athletes show...
A horse arena in Florida, I think.
Exactly, right?
An agricultural
And here's
center.
the thing. That's still great. I love that they had that. I love that we had...
I was at I won Mammoth as for Strongman the year they had it at Mammoth.
Yeah.
And it was just It wasn't even the forefront of the arena. They were using the back half of the arena we were using.
That's what I'm saying. So, like,
It was indoors.
it's great that they have it. It's great that the Masters have a thing to strive to.
That's right.
And to go say, I am the Masters World Champion for my age bracket.
How much did Masters Worlds charge their athletes? $150. So again, if you want that, we can do that. But when an athlete complains,
if you say, Jeremy, I want us to have a stadium suite, you're going to have to pay me money.
Great, I need 100 of you to pay me $150 a pop, and I still need sponsorship because stadiums cost money. So, like, it just, where does it come from? If it doesn't come from the outside, I have to charge the athletes more. And I'm not in the business of milking the sport like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think pros should be.
And the problem comes from people...
Actually, let me go on this one. And I don't think you should be. And I think that if you're a pro and you're upset about having to earn your money and you're only willing to do games where you're getting a flat payout and you're not willing to do the open because you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And you shouldn't be a pro. And you should quit. Or help the sport in a way that's helpful. Mentoring. Running games. If you think that you can provide better than what's happening, do it. That's what we're trying to do. But if you can't hold your own in a class of 4 people, 7 people,
7 is generous,
10 people, like, the fuck are you doing? Quit. Like, make room for someone that wants to be in the sport. Make room for someone that cares about the sport. Make room for the other 27-year-old pro, Graham Hawthorne. Make room for the, guys that are going to come in and fuck shit up because they care about the sport, because they have lineage in the sport, because they have family in the sport. And if you think it's a sinking ship, get the fuck off. Like, get out.
Yeah, I would say that if you are someone outside of the pro class who you say, no, I don't want to do any of that. I want to pay my $15 registration fee, and I want to come to games. And I'm not talking about the people that do 1 to 2 games a year.
Sure.
I'm talking about we have people in this sport who still do 10 to 12 games a year, but want to keep it that way. They want to keep it as a $15 registration fee so they can go do this hobby.
Awesome. Let's have more games for them.
Yes, but if you want things to stay the same and you keep doing that, you're just being selfish.
Yes.
You aren't leaving anything for the people coming behind you.
And
I mean, nothing. You're actively strangling it by telling ADs, no, I don't want to pay more because you want to do more. I want to keep paying my 15 because I want to come out and get sunburnt, throw a 22-foot Braemar, and go home. And I want to do that 10 weekends this year. And I want to hold 10 games back. No, that's dumb. That's why we need to have more backyarders. And if you go, no, I want it to be at a festival, then you're bad and you're selfish.
Listen, it comes
if you think any of those people were cheering for you, you weren't paying attention.
Yeah, let's harp on that for a second. That's real, though. I want opportunities for those people. They can come in and spend $15, but understand
I want them to be good people.
Understand what a $15 festival is. If you say I want to spend $15 and bring a dessert because we're doing a potluck, and one of the guys in the group knows screen printing, and you don't care if the shirts are a little fucked up, and we're gonna go out there and drink beer and bring our host a bunch of food and like have a barbecue after. Fantastic. Those are my favorite games. If you want to be at a festival, earn it. The reason that pros should get paid at festivals is because we are bringing in advertisement or crowds. And if we're not doing that, we shouldn't be paid. Period. The money has to come from somewhere. It's not a matter of ethics in this case. It's a matter of basic economics. Money has to exist for me to have it.
Yeah.
If I'm not earning more than what they're paying me, they shouldn't pay me.
Yeah. Have I gone into detail about how I'm paying pros at Woodridge?
No, that's probably a good plan.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Here is, and if I have gone into this and I'm forgetting, skip this next several minutes. I have the pros market for themselves is the short answer. I reached out to a bunch of pros, and some of them reached out to me and they said, how can I come to your game? And I said, here's how. Here's the structure I have. Here's what different levels of sponsorship gets. I need you to get me $500 in sponsorship money. Or you can show up and just throw for free if you just really want to come. But the only way you are guaranteed money is if you get me $500 in sponsorship dollars. Now, I then am going to send 400 of that back to you because you've made me money. But I asked the pros to find sponsors. I asked them to be a marketable product. And Jordan Patty's not that marketable, to use him as an example, because we love him.
Right.
So Jordan Patty's going to show and throw because he wants to be there.
Yep.
And that's great. I'm fine with that. But everyone else on that list went out and found a sponsor, or I stumbled across a company that said, we want to sponsor a pro. That's how that works. That's how my game works.
Yeah.
That's why if you were to go to, if you're so curious because you're looking at the heavy athlete page and you say, why does he have 16 pros? Because that was the system.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
a great system.
Going okay.
Yeah.
And I set the dollar amount pretty low because the game's in its second year. I'd love to be able to pay pros more than $400.
Right.
Oh, and they have a place to sleep because I worked that out with the venue.
Right.
Because now it's going to be uncomfortable. We're all going to be crammed if everyone decides to show up to the same place. But it's a roof over your head and air conditioning for the night that you didn't have to pay for if you want it.
Yep.
Done. That's the pro system at Woodridge. Adapt it if you want it. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Any system where you earn your keep, I like. Any system where you're not eating the widow share, I like. Like,
yeah.
The end. And if you are, look at what you're doing. Have some introspection and say, do I deserve the good things I'm getting? Because people look at gifts and you stop giving them and they think that you've robbed them, but you just haven't continued to give them something they didn't deserve.
Yeah. Yes. Are we done?
I mean, I got more, but I'd have to be reminded. What are the other things I've been pissed off about today?
I don't know. Read the messages that we had today. It's a brief intermission. This is a great time to mention that you can go to heavyathlete.com because it is back up and running. You know what? I'll talk about that while Matt's looking this up. I had a large number of people, and this is not a dig at them at all, message me going, hey, Heavy Athlete's down, Heavy Athlete down. Friendly reminder, I don't run Heavy Athlete. Mike runs Heavy Athlete. But I understand that I'm a person who knows how to get a hold of Mike. That being said, hypothetically, if everyone in this sport gave $1 a month to Heavy Athlete, Mike could make enough money to actually have a job doing that, and he is not currently doing that because that website doesn't make him very much money. Like,
no, it doesn't make what I make in a day.
Yeah.
In a month, it doesn't make what I make in a day.
Yes.
So I don't make a lot of money. Let's clarify.
Like, everyone got really sad that it was down for 3 days, and I was too. I was trying to look up numbers. I was trying to promote Woodridge, and I had to put that on pause, and it is what it is. But at the same time, I'm trying to recognize that one human is trying to run a website for the entire sport at what is currently a loss, if not just free.
Oh, it's absolutely a loss.
Yeah, if you value his time, it is 100% a loss.
If Mike is worth $1 an hour, he's not making it. Like, legitimately, like, he's not making it. So,
I would just tell you all to give the man a little grace. He is trying to give you a website that is better than anything we've ever had in the sport.
The man has more conviction than all but 5 pros in the sport. So,
and one amateur. No.
Right.
More than one amateur. A lot of you are actually really nice.
Right.
We're all just not gifted and or on trend.
So to go into some of the things that piss me off, I had a lot of people in my DMs, and I want to remind people that I love the amateur class. I was in the amateur class. The reason I wanted to go pro is because I was tired of winning the amateur class. Like, I did not like it. It wasn't fun for me. I felt bad. Guys didn't like throwing against me because I would have a bad day and throw, I mean, at the time, a 36 heavy, a 72. I was throwing 80 as an amateur, but like high 70, a lightweight, and that wasn't fun because I'd win by 10 feet, right? You would come second to me.
Yes, all the time with 10-foot gaps.
Yeah, throwing 10 to 20-foot gaps, like
depending on the event. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, there were days in hammer as an amateur. I'm thinking back on Whitstock where like I had a real shit hammer day, and I threw like a 115 light, and you threw like a 96 or something, and it was like a 96-foot light hammer is a good hammer mark. I just shouldn't have been an amateur.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I'm a decent amateur. I couldn't go win an appropriate pro class right now. Like. And that's the way it should be.
But you could win some pro classes.
And that's the shame of it. Like, that's the issue is...
There it is. So...
And I'm self-aware enough that when someone on the phone the other day asked me, so you're going to go pro? My answer is no. Because at a 3163 in the weights and a 85-103 in the hammers, those shouldn't be pro numbers. It's unfortunate that some people consider them pro... Like, that...
Well, and
That would contribute to the downfall of the sport.
Absolutely.
That's not a marketable product.
No, and to break it down,
I live in the same state as you and John Harding. That's not a marketable.
yeah, and Graham now,
And Graham now,
Like,
yeah.
So, that
It's a problem. Now, hopefully next year, maybe. If my numbers continue to climb throughout this season, sure. If I can hit the threshold I've set for myself, I'll tell everyone to invite me to things, but it's just not there.
So one of the
right
big
now.
so one of the big criticisms of the pro class that I've heard from pros and amateurs is that the games won't change until pros start voting with their attendance. And I took that to heart, and I have signed up for a game that is inconvenient for me, that is the Open, because I think I can do well at it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, you'll finish top 3 in just about every event across the board.
yeah, I'd be shocked if I wasn't on the podium. But, like, I'm signed up for Alaska. I signed up for Alaska.
I'm also taking into account like a 13-hour travel day ahead of time.
18,
the possible
18.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's longer for me to get to Alaska than it is Scotland.
that's why I'm saying
Right.
top 3 in every event.
For sure.
Probably your back could seize up and you could have a shit sheaf day.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
like
it happens. You know? So
I no-hided sheaf at the first game of the year. It's fun.
right, like, but I signed up for that game, and I'm turning down an invite to
A game that's 40 minutes from your house.
the game that I went pro at. That's 40 minutes from my house, and I'll tell you the reasons on why for both. The Alaska is an open format game where they have a history of good athletics, and
They have money on the line for world
and they have money on
records
the line,
and state records.
right, for world and state records. And more importantly, I want multiple opportunities to throw against Kyle Lilly before Celtic, because I want to know what I'm up against, because if you're competing in the sport and not thinking that you're eyeing for the top, it's a problem. Kyle Lilly is our best athlete in the world.
Or at least not being aware that that's what you're doing.
Right. Like,
Again, just be self-aware.
be self-aware. Like, know what it means. Being a pro to me means I'm trying to be the best. It doesn't mean that I'm a pro. It means I'm trying to be the best, and that's where the best are. I'm trying to beat Kyle Lilly. I'm going to get to throw against him at Costa Mesa.
I used to say fuck Matt McDougall all the time. I stand by it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you should. I'm going to go to Costa Mesa with a sole intent on throwing against Kyle Lilly.
You know what? I think my new goal in life is going to be to actually go pro and then beat you at least one event in a pro game.
That would be great. I think that's an incredible goal.
What would it be?
Probably Braemar.
Yeah.
Probably Caber.
Maybe Sheaf.
Maybe.
I think there's a chance I could keep it. Today's Sheaf went so well. I'm just still riding that high.
But yeah,
Hammer. I have a better build for Hammer than you. If I could actually get my
if you could
crap
figure
together.
out Hammer for sure. I have horrible Hammer form. I can power clean, 420, so it's not.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm
sorry,
just
I got
really
you off
strong.
track.
But
yes,
yes, Hammer. But it was about Jeremy. But yeah, I'm doing Maine because I want an opportunity to go throw against Kyle Lilly, because a comment was made and it pissed me off that said no one's going to go do that and Kyle Lilly's going to win every event. Kyle Lilly is not going to win every event if I have anything to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a challenge to Kyle, and I hope that he gets flamed up about it, and I would really hope he sees me as a threat.
You know what else really grinds my gears? To use a phrase we haven't used since year one. People that see that as negative.
Right.
I signed up for Central knowing that I'm going to come in the bottom of the field almost entirely across the board.
Yeah. I
want to be in that crowd.
Right.
I don't want to go to the Open AMs where my competition is 1 to 2 guys.
Right.
I would much rather spend my day and my time and the people I'm around and the conversations I have be with the people that are better than me.
That's it.
So even if you are a pro that knows you'll lose to Kyle Lilly, which, spoiler alert, is almost all of you, he is the current active best at our sport.
For sure.
So why wouldn't you want to go?
I want to take shots at the king. That's it. I want to take shots. I want to know where I'm at. Points are
what
points.
better metric than the guy that's number one?
Points are points, but game points are game points. And honestly, I want to go talk to the man. We've had a couple of conversations online, but I want to go talk to him in person and say, hey, what are you thinking about when you're doing blank? Hey, what are you thinking about?
Those little nuggets that you pick up from people on game day are fantastic.
Right.
And I'm going to get better ones throwing with 10 people that are better than me than throwing with 2 guys that are close to me.
I won't say, hey, I noticed that you're landing more blocked off out of your first turn in the heavyweight and you threw
What's
the
that
best you've
about?
ever thrown. I know someone that does that. Where'd you get it from? Anyway, I've noticed a lot of people are starting to do that, and they're having better
Weird.
results
It's
in the
almost like you
heavyweight.
don't have to open your left hip when you land out of your cast.
It's almost like it's heavy, and
You don't have
you
time
have to drive
and it's a
against
waste
it,
of.
and
Yeah.
you have to be in a position to drive because it's not a disc. But anyway,
What?
yeah, it's crazy. And I'm turning down an invite to a game because it's 5 men and 5 women, and I think only 2 of the people there are professionals. And it's a flat
Is
payout
that counting
game.
yourself?
That's counting me.
So one other person is a
Yeah.
professional.
Uh-huh. And
Why do you think that game doesn't have people you consider a professional? Is it nepotism?
well, it's
Is
nepotism,
it the
yeah,
good
for
old
sure.
system?
But, they don't have a qualifying system, and they're just inviting the people that they're friends with.
And let's be clear, you sang the praises of one of those people that would have been in the men's pro class last year because he is such a great human. None of this is a dig
Yeah,
at some of those people as people.
I think they're wonderful people. They shouldn't be in the pro class, and that's the thing. Is I don't actually. I have moral qualm with a couple of them, but I think most of these people are outstanding human beings, and more importantly, good to be on a field with.
Yeah.
They're just not good on a field.
And here's a question I have, and this is not specifically about that
Let me
game.
go back.
Sorry.
The thing that bothers me is that I'm worth more than what they're worth to a festival. They'll cheer my name. They'll ask me questions. I'll go and interact with the crowd. I'll be the one that stays up and helps and sets up and breaks down. And
Unless it's my game, and then you disappear, you piece of shit.
yeah, sometimes. But to clarify, I'm still going to this game, and I'm going to cheer and support, and just be the guy that walks around the crowd explaining what the fuck's going on, because it's important and I care about the sport. But I won't take the paycheck when it's the same paycheck that other people are getting when I don't think that they deserve it.
Yeah.
I won't support those games. I won't lend my talents as an athlete to them. I will go interact with crowds and inform people and say, yeah, this one guy that's beating everyone by 30 feet, he's been to Worlds. These people aren't up to his caliber, but
Here they are.
here they are.
Yeah, I have this question, not even specifically about that game. It applies to them. But I wonder, now that having been in the spot of trying to find sponsors for pros.
Mm-hmm. And how many pros do you have paid for right now?
I think I've sent money to at least half of them already. 3 or 4 of them, the sponsor has committed, and I just haven't received the money yet to pass it along to them. Right. Some of them, I'm so confident in the sponsor, I've paid them ahead of time out of my own pocket, knowing that I will make that money back before game day. Mm-hmm. My point being that, so I go to a company and I say, hey, here's my sponsorship format. What do you want to do?
12. Is that how many we have?
I think currently on Heavy Athlete, it's 3 women and 11 or 12 men. And I'm expecting to add at least another man and hopefully another female.
So found sponsorship for around 15 between him and the athletes advocating for themselves as an athlete.
I, as an AD, have found sponsors for 1, 2, 3, and that's not counting Scottish Throws Coach, which is going to sponsor you. So that's another 5, 6. Almost half of the pro class, probably, have been sponsors that I've tried to go out and find, or at least it's been a joint effort between me and the pro of they connect me to a company that's interested, and then I talk to,
for game in September.
Yeah.
You already have 6.
Well, it's because I want to make sure these people get paid.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing.
What I'm getting to with my rambling here is that when I go to a company and say that, and they go, I want to sponsor a pro, my immediate next question is, which pro?
Yeah.
Do you have a preference? Because you're paying me for a product.
Right.
And to use Strength Agenda as an example, they said, we want to sponsor Wes Kaiser.
Yeah.
Tom and Wes are buds. Wes is a great thrower. I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
If they tell me, I don't know, who do you have? I'm going to give them a list of available sponsor pros.
Yep.
Here's what I've got. Do you care?
Yep.
Do you want me to ask someone outside of this list too? Because again, you're paying me for a product.
Right.
Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say I don't care. If they say I don't care, I pick the next one on the list that I either think would be a good fit for that brand, or just someone who's been extra communicative with me and I know has been working hard, so I'm going to try and make sure they're the next person to get paid down that list. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to keep working through that system. My question is, if there is a game who invites 4 pros, and they all make the same amount of money. Where did that money come from? And if the sponsor knew how much they are getting gypped, how would they feel about it? And is there a morality issue with doing that?
There's absolutely a morality
Because
issue.
that's my problem as in from an AD perspective.
No.
If I take $2,000 from your company and say I'm going to get you pro athletes, and 2 out of the 5 from one of those classes are actual
2 out of 5
good
are pros
athletes.
and 5 in the other aren't.
You know, like, did I just steal your money?
Yes.
Like, that's...
Yes.
There is a Virginia criminal code for obtaining money by false pretenses, and if I tell you this money is for pro athletes, and then I hire people that should not be considered pro athletes...
And then you don't acknowledge them as pros either. You call them elite. Imagine that.
And now, if that money is coming from somewhere different that I don't understand,
Right.
I think the morality issue somewhat goes away from an AD side there.
I don't.
But I genuinely have the question of if someone sponsored your pro class, if Cerberus had come to me and instead of saying, hey, we want to sponsor one, we're going to sponsor your entire female pro class,
Right.
I'm going to try and get you good pros.
Right.
That is step number 1. And then if I fall short of that, if you said I want to sponsor 5 pros and I found 3 people that I thought were up to that level, I'm going to come back to you and say, hey, here's the road bump I ran into.
Yeah, if I said, hey, Jeremy, here's $2,000, I want 5 more women.
I would try and get you the next top 5 women that are available.
Well,
And if it fell below a certain mark, I would then come back to you and say, I found you 3. What do you want to do with that remaining money? Do you want me to just fill seats? Do you want it to go to somewhere else? Or do you want it back?
If I said I want 5 pro men, and we have clear standards on what a pro man is, and you give me 3 pro men and 2 guys that used to be good but aren't anymore, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
That's not what we agreed on.
Part of the package is like your name's going on the back of that pro shirt. With the way I'm running my game, I understand some games don't do that.
Right.
But if I'm going to stamp your logo on the back of someone's shirt for that day,
I want the representation I paid for.
you paid me $500 to give you good advertising. That is the only return I have on your investment.
Yeah.
I mean, I do other stuff. There's a whole metric you can look at, but the big pull is your name on the back of that person's shirt that day. And if the numbers I'm reading off of that microphone while I'm following that class around all day are clearly shit compared to the other people on the field, you got gypped. I sold you a lemon.
Yep.
Like, I need to have something to say, you know? Like,
Here's something actually in defense of the Masters. We should put them on different fields no matter what. But like in defense of the Masters, speaking of representation here, if we have a 20-foot high WOB standard, because you have, you know, a couple of guys that are over 17 that are hitting numbers in training that would, you know, lead to think that they
warrant it,
and they could warrant 18, 19 feet in a game. And you have a 20-foot WOB standard, and you have a master come over and throw 14 feet, you know, with their weight. That's a good WOB throw for them. It looks like shit. It looks bad. And then you tell them that, you tell the crowd, oh, that's, you know, 14 pounds less than what that guy was throwing.
and he threw it 3 feet less.
And he threw it 3 feet less. Says, they don't care that they're an old man. Like, that's not, old football players are just called linemen. Like, it's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. They have a role.
And here's the thing, I'm also fine with an elite masters class like No Fame did. Because if you have the money, if you had a sponsor that just said, I love Masters Athletics, and gave you money, and you paid Zolk and Zechariah and Sean Smith and all those guys to actually come out and throw 18 to 19 foot wobs and then drop bombs in the other events.
Yeah, if you want to pay Eric Frazier to come out, awesome. Like,
if he had asked me to throw pro at Woodridge, I'd have let him, but he hasn't asked, so it's fine.
He's throwing pro this weekend, so.
He's throwing pro-am. It's very,
He won a pro game last week.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he won against John. That's what I said. He
right.
beat John. So
do I keep him out of my AM class if he signs up?
Well, yeah, for sure, because he competed pro. But and we have standards. And Eric Frazier is absolutely a pro.
Well, Adrian's coming to the game. I wonder if he's going to ask me then to throw him. We'll talk to him this weekend.
Yeah, we'll talk.
If he wants to find a sponsor, I'll take him.
That'd be awesome.
The man throws a 40-foot sheaf. He can come.
Yeah, absolutely. He makes me come with it. Like, it's incredible to watch him work.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put down the microphone.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I throw the heavyweight, the reason I do is because I was trying to emulate Eric Frazier, and I just fucked it up so bad that I wound up with the technique I have now. So, like, that's, and anyone that trains under Jerry, throws like Eric Frazier because he learned from Frazier. So like
One of the first clinics I went to, Eric Frazier came to it.
right,
He was the reason I consistently cracked 25 in the heavyweight.
right.
Like, yes. And you know what? Eric Frazier stepped away from the sport for 8 years, and in the meantime, still tried to give back
Yeah,
when he could.
yeah. So
Go do that.
go do that.
And then come back and beat the pants off of everyone.
Right.
And be like, I took up deadlifting today for the first time in 5 years. Here's me pulling 700 for 5.
Yeah, but no, it would piss me off, and we do have standards on what pro means, and like I believe in upholding them. And at the point that I've said this a bunch of times, I'll never be a masters athlete for a lot of reasons, but like one of the big ones
You'll
is,
be dead. No.
I'll be dead. Yeah, no, but like
I'm going to put
not,
a gun to your temple at 39
Right.
and 364
yeah,
days.
I have too many death packs going on. But
You're going to be in the forest looking at a pretty flower.
right, and the rabbits, and yeah, but I mean, I said, and I made this promise to myself: if I had 2 years without PRs, I was stepping away. Like, just that's it. 2 seasons, 2 title seasons without a PR, I'm done. And I could be the best in the world, but if I'm not progressing, I'm quitting. That's my commitment.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm not going to take room from other people. Same thing. Like, I've turned down a couple of games this year actually, because I want guys that need those scores to get those scores. Because I don't want the pro class to not have the best guys because the best guys were new and didn't have opportunity. I want the pro class to be the best guys because they're the best guys. And I think it's bullshit that we have so many games that, like, I mean, if you're competing, God bless the West Coast, you know, they need it, but I don't.
God, yes. No.
Yeah, yeah, you know, and
You heathens.
well, but you know, I look at their games over there, and that's a hostile environment if you're an amateur trying to turn pro. One, they have 7 of the top 10 guys in my mind, and in the U.S. anyway. But also, like, what opportunity do you have? And you're just going to get, you know, your teeth kicked in. But if there's an event with 4 guys, those 4 guys are going to be, I mean, Colin Dunbar, Nick Aston,
Kyle.
Kyle Lilly, and then I know they got more, but at least those 3. So if you're trying to be,
if you're trying to be on the podium,
right? If you're trying to be guy number 4, good luck. You know, like guys that I don't think.
If only you had a website, you could look at the top guys
only.
in the. Yeah,
You know,
it's probably down right now.
I don't know where everyone lives, but that's the. Eddie Brown's a great example. Downtown Eddie Brown. I mean, he's a great thrower. He's like a 71, 7200 point athlete and has been for a long time.
In the old system.
In the old system, he's probably I
Is
think
he in the new?
I think still currently.
Okay.
Pretty close. I mean, when he tried, he's at least a 7,000 point athlete. But like, he's a great thrower. You know what I mean? He comes in 7th and 8th at these competitions. He's a phenomenal thrower. Like,
Yeah, if he went to the Midwest, he'd have a great time.
he'd have a great time in the
at their
Midwest.
2 games.
He'd have a great time in the Northeast because I'm the best in the Northeast and I live in Virginia. Like, he'd have a great time in the Southwest because John Harding's the best in the Southwest and he lives in
Southeast.
He'd have a great time in the Southeast because
Yeah, Southwest Virginia, Southeast United States.
He had a great time in the Southeast of Virginia or Southeast of the U.S. because John Harding's the best in the Southeast, and that's only because I live here and he lives there in Virginia. But
Yeah, the roads don't run the right ways.
right, like we have a triangle state and the roads run weird. So
Yeah, they run in a triangle for some reason.
yeah, it's bizarre, but I don't like that I have to go up to go down. And it bothers me.
I hate going to Roanoke because of that. I'm looking
hate-
at my compass. I'm like, why am I going north?
Yeah.
It is for sure south of where I live.
Yeah, I live basically in DC, and I still have to drive north to drive south, and it bothers me immensely. Like, but anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really it. It makes sense to me.
Well, there we go. How here we'll pepper this in at the end because I think have you talked about all the things you want to talk about? Did you look through the text? Are you
You pepper us.
are you satisfied?
Never.
I'm gonna pepper while Matt reads of how we think Carolina's gonna do.
No, sure.
So I think I'm gonna come in. There are 12 men in the open. I think I'll come in 10th or 11th. I think I'll beat Brandon, and I'm gonna try and beat Randy, and that's how I'm gonna place in the overall. I think I'm gonna throw really well for me. Like, everything right now feels great. I think I'm going to have a good day in every event as long as I can manage fatigue and eat when I want to eat and stay out of the sun when I want to stay out of the sun.
It is a 9-event game.
Yes, it is a 9-event game, which is going to make that more difficult, but I feel okay right now. Like, I think I'm going to throw within 5% of all of my PRs, if not PR several things. Like,
Yeah.
I'm down with that. But that field is just fucking stacked. And it's stacked across events too, so I don't have breathing room to try and make up points in one event. There's no one event where I'm going to come in top 5. It doesn't exist. My hope is that in 1 to 2 events here and there, I can squeak out a 7th place finish. Like, I mean, that's it.
7th's pretty good in this
Yeah.
group. Like,
If I can finish 7th in an event, which again would probably be Braemar and maybe lightweight, like that's. Are you looking at the prediction model?
I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, so like.
I'm
Scroll down,
already on
brother.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, you're there.
already clicked it.
Yeah, so the predictions have me coming in 11th out of 12th.
11th out of 12th. To clarify the predictions right now in Heavy Athlete, there isn't. They're doing just the best marks that they have in. So if there's a Masters athlete and they have a 60-foot heavyweight, for example, it's going to show that. So that is something that's being worked on. Mike was working on it, accidentally broke the website in doing it.
He's fixing it.
He's
working on it. So, like, here's my thing. So, yeah, it has me coming in 11th, but my PR is a 35-10 Braemar, which actually puts me above 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As of right now. I think that one's going to change.
Yeah.
But above 6 of the people. So I think, like, that's an event I could potentially have a top 7 finish in.
Yeah.
For lightweight, my PR puts me above one person. But here's the thing. I think Dilly's lightweight has been suffering lately. I think there's a chance that I keep climbing a little bit and actually claw ahead of Randy's lightweight. Like,
yeah, you probably 65, 70, somewhere
that's what I'm saying. So, like, I think there's a chance that...
Well, and like Wob especially is a liar, because, like, again, they have
Thor's
17,
is not
18.
17.
Well, and even
that's
John
his
Harding's
master's number.
is 16, but they put in the wrong score.
Yeah, so, it is what it is. Again, if I could... Because, like, genuinely, Justin's best is a 14.
Mm-hmm.
I think Thor's as a pro is 14 or 15.
I don't think
You don't think he said 15?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So again, in West, depending on, we've had this discussion of which West Kaiser shows up.
Right.
There's a chance I beat West at WOB. So there are a couple of events where I'd like to claw my way out of 10th and 11th.
Right.
But also what I think is really important when you look at the prediction model for this is the points. So like when you get between 4th and 7th, it's only a gap of 10 points across a 9-event game. I mean, the prediction model has it as 47, 50, 51, 57. All of those are close. All of those are very interchangeable, and it'll be that way in those same... I think the way it's going to shake out is the top 4 guys are going to stay very close in points all day. And I think the middle of the pack guys are going to stay very close in points all day, and I think the bottom 4 guys are going to stay very close in points all day. Like, I think that's the way it's going to turn out.
Yeah, I think the podium's pretty well decided. I mean, it's
you,
John
me,
and Eric. Yeah. So, but
then I think 4th through 7th is a mixed bag.
For sure. I think 4th through 7th.
And then I think it will start to space out after that.
Maybe even 4th through 8th is a mixed bag. Because
Graham's full turn stone throws were looking really nice the other day.
Graham's probably going to go 50 in the stone and probably going to go 40 plus in heavy and 80 in the light.
Okay, then that's
a 120 plus light. Graham's popping right now. He's still on his up.
Yeah.
And so, like, West, it depends on what West we get. Thor, it depends on the Masters numbers that come through.
Mm-hmm.
Justin.
And here's the thing. Does Randy also PR a few things? Randy's been working hard. I just don't know if he's in a plateau right now numbers-wise or not. It just...
Yeah.
And that's not a dig at Randy. Those things just happen.
No, but he is in the
pop,
South.
and then it plateaus, and then you pop, and then it...
He's much later in his season, too, because he's in the South. So he's already done 4 games, whereas you've done 1. So there's a difference there. Thor depends on what Masters number he's pulls. Justin Blatnick, when Justin Blatnick is on, he's a great athlete, and it's just...
If he doesn't foam roll his quad into nerve damage between now and then.
One, and he's a firefighter. So, like, if he gets a call the day before, 2 days before, and it's an especially stressful
We had this conversation the other day, and then a day after it, Vlad broke his ankle.
Or
we were like, there's always an X factor.
Right.
And we were discussing something like Justin's profession or just random life events.
Right.
And then, lo and behold, this guy that we were all pretty sure was at his first game going to cook the shit out of the hammer world record is now laid up for 8 weeks.
Yep. And that's, I mean, this happens to me. Like, I have a manual labor job, and, like, I shoveled 12 meters.
I could potentially have a thing that keeps me at the school past 4 o'clock on Friday, and I don't get down there, and I don't get my camp set up smoothly, and my stress level's just through the roof before the day.
I went and did a demo at Sedalia, and I threw the heavyweight 37 feet or something, like for me, an abysmal number, because I had to move 12 cubic meters of gravel that week with a shovel. And so, like, you know...
it happens.
It happens. And then literally the week after, or 2 weeks after, you know, I'm touching world record in training because I didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And you just don't know. Like,
I'm
drive down could be
I'm going to do what I can, and I'm going to throw one more time this week.
Which is the other thing.
Thursday, I'm going to spend 10 minutes in an ice bath and try to get a lot of sleep. And then Friday, I'm going to try and drive down as early as feasible with my work schedule and try to get a lot of sleep.
And that kind of is two gripes that I have with the sport and with athletes in the sport, not with the sport. One of them is guys back down when they see good names. And, like, that's you being weak. Like, that's...
You're weak.
I mean, well, but for real, that's a shitty mentality. And... I think that's Alaska calling me, so I ought to call her back in a second.
Okay, then we'll wrap this up, and then you can do that.
Yeah, but I figured out, so it's fine. But I didn't scroll to the bottom, so I didn't know how to sign up. I had to get to the
Your
bottom.
name's on there.
It is now. I know, but like I called her, and I was like, I can't find the sign up. And then I kept scrolling, and I was like,
I'll send you money.
Yeah, I was like, there it is.
Which, by the way, is $100 entry fee.
Yeah, I literally said, which I'm willing to pay.
Yeah, which is how you get better games.
For sure. And I literally was like, I'm good at throwing rocks, so by default, I'm bad at reading. I was trying to be like, hey,
that was when Troy Johnson pointed out my typo in putting that Brandon's photography business was going to do stuff. He's like, guaranteed. And I'm like, look, man, I throw stuff. I don't.
But
you want words good, data languager.
But yeah, like if you're worried that if you're not going to do it because you don't think you're going to win, brother, you're not going to win. Like, that's a mentality of a loser.
One of my favorite things to say is not with that mentality.
Right.
I usually mean it as a joke.
Right. But you're not going to get there. If that's what's on your mind, you'll never be there because you're never going to do it. You got to lose. None of us came into this sport.
Which is why I'm going to start making shirts that say "Kill Mediocrity" on the back.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a tattoo for us at some point.
It's going to be.
Like,
right
here. Yeah. Except nothing less. But, 6'4". Anyway.
I'm kind of funny sometimes.
Yeah. Not ugly, but... not handsome, but not ugly.
Yeah.
But
medium ugly, I think, is the term.
Medium. Right. And if you're a medium good athlete, like, try to go and be with better athletes and see what they're doing that you're not.
That's all I'm doing.
And try to be better, right? And
I don't have the same goal Matt does in this sport of hold 3 world records. I am aware that with my job and my, honestly, body at 33 right now, I am not going to break a world record. I think I could get good enough to go pro at some point for a couple of years.
But if you're only doing this to win, like, you should quit.
Oh, no, I don't expect to win many games if I go
I know.
pro.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm fine with that.
People look at these and say, well, Kyle Lilly's there.
Here's the thing. I want my hobby paid for, but because I know I'm not going to win and because I know I don't deserve anything above that.
Sure. Yeah, it'd be really cool to break even.
That's all I want to do.
It'd be even cooler to deserve to. You know?
And it'd be cooler to watch my friends who I hopefully get to throw with occasionally at Tier 2 games go to those Tier 3 games and perform in front of 6,000 people at a time.
That's what I don't get. Don't you want to throw against those guys? I only ever wanted to throw against those guys, even when I wasn't good.
I know that you wouldn't want to play, most people wouldn't want to play football against Ray Rice because he'd murder you, but doesn't it sound cool for a second? Doesn't sparring with Mike Tyson, if he wasn't terrifying, sound kind of cool?
But we're not hitting each other. And that's the thing. It's not a contact sport.
Wouldn't you like to play basketball with Michael Jordan for like 20 minutes?
Wouldn't you want to be up close? Even if you just like the sport, wouldn't you want to be up and like get the mic'd up version and see what they're doing and see what the behind the scenes is.
Mm-hmm.
Plot twist, we're just like you, but assholes. So like, there's no.
That's it.
That's
I'm like
it.
you, but worse.
Yeah, but I can back up my arrogance. So
I can't, so I just host games.
right. I mean, those that can't teach, right?
But I'm self-aware of my place. I
Yeah.
think that's all I want from people is to be self-aware. And I think the unearned air of confidence that some people have is astounding. But I think it is more a metric of either, at worst, poor intentions, or at best, poor intelligence.
When I said this coming into the pro class, I said, you know, I don't want invites if I haven't earned them, right? I want to be invited by my ranks. And I will go do games that are less desirable so I can get the ranks so that I can go do it. You know, I'm going to play the game. And now that I'm on the game, I turn them down, right? And that's where we're at. And that's caused some issues of, you're not loyal to the things that got you there. Some people say things like, you haven't paid your dues yet. Like
no, you pay me.
no.
Isn't that the way that that's supposed to go?
Actually, here it is. Here's the other thing I wanted to talk about for the open class. The way people are looking at this is so fucked because it puts it on them as if the pros are the ones that matter. What the pro class is you have an elderly couple that says, I have $2,000 and I need to build a deck. And what the pros are doing is saying, hey, I can build this part of the deck for this amount of money. And they're putting in their bids and their pitches. And if it's worth it to the pro to go do the thing that they're being asked to do for the amount of money, they'll go. And if it's not worth the amount of money, they won't go. It's not for the benefit of the pro, it's for the benefit of the game. And the things that are good for the games means that we have more opportunities for pros and are good for the pros. If as a pro you say, that's not worth it for me, then don't do it. But don't drag the game. They have the budget they have. And to say,
which is shocking as to why I'm still dumbfounded that we have this many people committed to Woodridge. Because I did exactly that. I put it out and said, here's what I am willing to do.
Here's it is.
I thought we'd have 5 men and 2 women.
Yeah.
I did not think as many people would want to do this as do.
You didn't think you'd be paying out $5,000?
I did not.
More than that?
No.
$7,500?
If everyone was getting that. Some people are self-funding. Some people are using it to market their own LLCs. And that's fine. That was an option.
That was a trade.
Some people have been sponsored by anonymous people who don't want the benefit of being a... That's cool.
Yeah.
But I did not expect to have a dozen men in the pro class.
Right.
I didn't think that would happen.
And 5 women.
Currently 3.
And 3 women.
Had 4. 1 backed out. Because she got another offer and said her travel was paid for there.
No. Yeah. Sweet.
That's fine.
Yeah. Awesome. The same deal for men and women, though. You know, I'd love to see more women.
Coincidentally, I had like several $100s burning a hole in my pocket that week, and I paid a couple of other pros $200 that were self-sponsoring because I wanted them to not lose money.
I love it. But
yeah,
if you're upset with, you know, the payout for the product that you produce, either get a better product or get out. Because there are people that, again, will do it for that and will vote with their attendance. And to say, oh, you know, this is a premier game. And
what makes it that?
Right.
Show me
what makes it that, first off. And second of all, I'd argue a game is a premier game at the point that it has 2 of the guys in the top 5 in the world. And guess what? This game that's in June? Mm-hmm. The Alaska Highland Games has 2 guys that are in the top 5.
Yeah.
No.
2029 or
no,
20
it's a week after Milford.
Okay.
But anyway, has 2 of the guys in the top 5 in the world. I'd say it's an elite game. They were willing to show up. They're going. It's got local guys. It's got guys from the East Coast. It's got guys from the West Coast. Because they looked at it and said it's worth it. And if you're upset about that, you don't belong there. And that's okay. That's okay. Go to games you belong at.
Go win all the backyards you can.
Go win all the backyards you can. I mean,
if that's what matters to you.
I mean, you want the game to be affordable. Yeah, go do $15
If your thing
games.
is that you like to not lose money, then you should support us wanting to have more tier 3 games.
Yeah, run free games and don't be a pro. Quit. Go be an amateur and start running backyard games. You do better for the sport. But don't take up room with someone that cares. And especially don't say, our sport doesn't need to change and our sport, is fine and our sport's good, and then continue to, eat the widow's share and take spots that you don't deserve because you've been around it and you've been in the sport for 22 years and, licking and kissing boot long enough.
Yeah, I'm very, I'm a numbers driven person, and if you can't look at the things that I have put on the podcast Instagram, numbers of games and numbers of athletes, and you can't acknowledge that it's not growing, I don't know what else to tell you. It is this cup of water, and it sits empty, and it has not refilled itself the whole time we've sat here. And if you're going to look at me and tell me that that cup is fine, no, it's not. It's empty. I don't understand what is going on in your head.
And if you
I don't want to.
And if you say, I can't hold my own with the good guys, but I'm so happy about these open class games so I can go and make money, and then shit on the open class games, that's a problem. If you say that the Scottish system, is better because they have so many games, but then say we don't need more games and it's oversaturated, that's a problem. You're arguing for more games, not less. Let's have more games.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If it works, games. Let's have more games. All right. Let's have more opportunities.
Let's get out of here so you can call Alaska back.
Yeah.
And I can go take a shower. I stink.
Yeah, you do. Smell it on you. It stinks so good.